Hey guys, so right now we're going to get into how I believe I became a shopaholic, how I believe that I got this shopping addiction. We're going to take it way back to the fact that, it's like the average story growing up in the projects, growing up with not having much or whatever. That wasn't even it because I didn't know, like most people didn't know that they didn't have much. I had all the necessary things that I needed. No, not the fancy stuff, but I had everything that I needed. I grew up with, in my household was started with my mom, my stepfather, and my sister. That was us for years, and then years later, my mother ended up having my brother, and then so on and so forth. Okay, and that time, this I'm born in the 70s. My sister's born in the late 70s, and then my brother came in the 80s, mid 80s. Normal family household. Stepfather does the working, does the do whatever to make sure he gets the make the ends meet. And my mom, she works part time, so here and there and stuff like that. So again, we don't have much of anything, but we have everything we necessarily need in that house. The want to say mid 80s, right? Mid 80s, the big drug came to the community, and everybody, you know what that drug is. That is the crack cocaine drug, and it came to the end. It came to our communities, and it hit my household. And hitting my household within months, my household was turned upside down. So I went from just normal, like I said, not having a lot, but I didn't know I didn't. I didn't know my mom didn't have money like that. I just figured she just didn't buy me what I wanted. She bought me what I needed. And either way, it turned into turmoil where I ended up in my grandparents' house. So there, that's when everything basically went kind of like downhill. I went from in the four. No, my little brother was born at the time, so basically five people in the household, to about eight in the household, nine in the household, um, in a three-bedroom house, and with uncles, aunts, cousins, and everything else. And at first, it's all great and gravy because it's my grandparents. So who doesn't love their grandparents and stuff like that? But I went from having necessary stuff to barely having anything. It went just like that, and it was a real struggle for me. It was a real struggle. I had a lot of nothing. And at times it was, struggling for us. At first, like I said, the first year went well. The second year, it just like as time went on, the years, it just got worse and worse and worse. And with my mom struggling, I had uncles who started to struggle with the drug abuse game too, and it was just like I'm surrounded by people abusing these drugs, right? Um, and my grandparents is trying so hard to keep it together. My grandmother's a stay-at-home mom, and my grandfather works, and it's like they trying so hard to keep this family together. And one by one, their children are like experimenting with the drug, and then next thing you know, not only one daughter is an addict, two children are addicts. Three, I have six kids. Three children are addicts. Then it's just like, what the heck is going on around here? It was a lot going on in the household where my my youngest uncle, it was just like real bad with him. It was horrific with him, and I wasn't barely seeing my mom at the time because again she was still where she was at, and then she wouldn't come here too much. Could have been off embarrassment or whatever have you. I'm not sure, but I ended up with, thank goodness, I ended up with good friends. I ended up with good friends who had good families, who helped me out a lot. Who I stood a lot around them. I stood a lot around with them. I try to stay out of my house. I try to stay out of my house as much as possible because it was complete turmoil. So I try not to go to my grandparents' home as much as possible. Um, while I lived with my mom, me and my sister coming home from school, finally my mother let me come home from school by myself. And a drunk driver hit us. A drunk driver hit her and I. And thank goodness we survived it with minimum, injuries. We came through. My sister pulled through. She was the one more injured than I was. Pulled through. So we ended up getting a lawsuit from that money that we didn't, wasn't able to touch until we was 18. Coincidentally, by the time I'm 18, I have a child at 18. And I ended up with the lawsuit money at 18. So you could imagine the struggles that I went through with just school and everything, with the drug addicted family members, especially your mom, stepfather. My father was around, but I didn't live with him, so it was just like he financially supported me, and it was real tough because you had people who, the kids, they like, I understand the bullying and stuff like that. I totally understand. Even though I was a strong kid, I was a fighter. It was not like I just got bullied and it was just fine. But even when you are a strong kid, you still can be bullied. You still can be picked on because people find things to antagonize you about, even though it's not your fault. They may antagonize you about the style of your clothing. They may antagonize you about your hair, about your looks. And none of this you have control over as a child. This is completely upon how you are raised. So most of it when you're 10, 11, 12 years old is your household that's raising you. So sometimes you're not going to have the best sneakers because your family don't have the most money, or they don't think it's necessary to buy you those. But kids in school are harsh. Kids in school are so harsh. They'll be like, oh, you got those old sneakers on, those raggedy sneakers, you whack, you this, and all that stuff. So you deal with a lot. And I dealt with a lot. And I was, like I said, I was a strong kid. So during those times when people said things or did things or whatever, they found anything to pick on. They'll find anything on the flyest person. So when I recognize you could be fly, you could be cute, you could be whatever, and they'll find something to pick on a person for. So when you recognize that, you ain't got a shot in hell. You know what I'm saying? And it was all good for me. It didn't. It bothered me, but it was like, what can I do? This is the cards I was dealt, and this is what it was. So I just kept it moving whenever they because most of the kids in you that went to your school, when you went to the neighborhood school, knew what was going on in your household, or knew your family, and so on and so forth. So they kind of already knew what was going on, and people will find a way. And just like most of us, I'm resilient, just like most of us. So I got past it, and thank goodness. But again, I'm outside every chance I get. I'm outside. I don't really sit in the house. And during that process of the time, I run into my daughter's father, and I get pregnant. So by the time I got the lawsuit, I was giving birth to a child by myself, basically, because he was being a jerk. And now I have this little baby, and I have money. I have no financial, like, again, I'm completely at this age ignorant and totally illiterate. Everybody around me just want money. Nobody wants to tell me, oh no, save this, do this, do that. Everybody around me wants money. Don't no one is telling me to save anything because they want to see if they can get their hands on something from me. So needless to say, you already know that money went with the, quick as it came. Um, besides that, I wanted to give my daughter everything that I recently did not have. Everything that under the sun, I wanted her to need for nothing. I wanted her to do so well, look so well, that, but for me, they will have to find something really, really deep to pick on her about. Because in my mind, in my eyes, she was beautiful. She's pretty. She's beautiful. If she has everything that kids love, they will never find a reason to pick on my child. And there I went from that point on, like basically shopping for her. That's where I think it all started from. And then from that point on, it goes from having a decent home. So when my daughters, I'm just buying everything that I can. Before I'm living on my own, I'm buying everything that makes her look pretty. And when I live on my own, because my house was such a chaos that I grew up in, I wanted to make it as comfortable as possible. So then I do things in my house to make that comfortable. So you're going to make sure everything is tip top, the best, the nicest, pretty, clean, and everything. So those little things start, those things playing back in me now. As I got older, I recognized, why do I do now? The neatness, the cleanness, the niceness of having really nice things in your house. The fact that you open a refrigerator, it's so much food. The cabinets is food. It's lovely. It's lovely because that's all I could think about in my house, is because the chaos that I grew up in. I wanted to do everything to make sure I never seen that kind of lifestyle again. So I really recognized that was like the outline of how it started with me. That was the outline. And then, like, say I would get stressed out or something is bothering me real, real bad, I found happiness in shopping. I remember one time, I know, the check system is it's basically obsolete now. Nobody really uses checks. But I remember one time purchasing my daughter some stuff from the store, like Old Navy or whatever, the Gap. And I was like, oh, I want this too. I wanted more things for her. And I only had a certain amount of dollars. So I said, oh, I could write the check. By the time they put the check in my account, I got paid. So I remember writing a check from the store to buy her some clothes that she didn't need, but to buy her clothes because I wanted more. And I was feeling in this depressing stage. And I remember that exact feeling of like, yes, yes, look, my daughter's going to have this and out of that. And I wrote the check as if the money was there. I signed it and everything as that you would have thought the money was there in the account. And I was like, I left there. Honestly, I didn't even really feel bad. At first, I was like, damn. But I said, no, I remember doing this before when I had the money there and they took forever to put the check in the account. It was like, damn, when they going to take the money out the account? I wrote the check already like 5 days ago and the money was still sitting there. So I knew for a fact they take a long time to put the money in the account because I had done it before when the money's there and I'm waiting for them to remove the money. So this is, years ago. The check system was a big deal at that time. Like, that was what we did. We wrote checks. We didn't really debit it and, the withdraw it like we do now, automatic withdrawals and stuff. We didn't have that then. So either way, I remember doing that. And at first it was just like, and I'm like, it's okay because by the time they put it in my account, the money will be there. And so I remember walking out the mall like, yes, like, got my baby some stuff and this and that. When I went in the mall, feeling down, went in the mall like, I'm gonna go buy her some stuff because I wasn't feeling well. Like I was feeling depressed, maybe arguing with her father. I'm not sure what it was, but I was really feeling kind of depressed. And my daughter couldn't have been no older than 3 years old. She couldn't have been no older than 3 years old. Mind you, I told you I had my daughter at 18. I'm 21 years old. And I found myself doing that. That works. It works out well. I get paid. The check goes in after I get paid. It works out great. And I said, I have another way to get money, right? Earlier than waiting. Bang, bang, bang. That was a start of me shopping ignorantly. And I think that was the beginning of my addiction. Because I not only did it that time, I ended up doing it another time. And by the thing is this, I didn't know, and I soon found out. Everybody doesn't take 5 days to send their checks in. Everybody doesn't do that. So now with me thinking I got 5 days, I do it again, but not like that time. I may have did it on a Wednesday and got paid on Friday. And so it worked out well. Another time I said, oh no, they should take long. Yeah, it'll take a long time. I do it on a Monday thinking I got into Friday. It hits my account before that day and causes me an overdraft fee. I'm like, shooky. What can I do? So I go to the bank and I tell them, oh my God, the money this was for, and some nonsense. They reversed the $35 fee or $30, 25, maybe $25 fee at the time. I don't know. But they reverse it. However they do, they reverse the fee. And I say, yes, good. Because Lord knows I could barely afford the check that was about to go inside the account, let alone a fee with it. But that doesn't stop me because I did it again. And probably again after that too. But needless to say, I started to do this to make myself feel better. Instant gratification. It had nothing to do with me necessarily needing anything. It had nothing to do with me. That's what makes it worse. It had nothing to do with me needing anything. It had everything to do with me wanting. And once I started to find little ways to get my wants, and once I started, that's what I did. I just would find little ways to get it. Find little ways to get it. And I'm causing myself pain. I'm causing myself hardship. More hardship than I already was in. And those little things added up. And I really believe it had a lot to do with me having little and then less than anything at a point in time. A point in time is when I really had, at one point in time, when I was about 14 years old, I literally had like nothing. Like no real clothes at all. Like sharing clothes with your family. Like they would take whatever, like if my dad would give me money to buy me, my other cousin would come take them and leave with them. So then you're like, the only pants I have, the only nice pants I have, and my grandmother would try to hem up these pants. She would try to do this with this and do that with that to try to make something of it. And it's like, now I have to dig around and probably try to take something from somebody else and do this and that. I had literally nothing at one point in time, to the point where I was like, well, what am I going to wear to school? Because I don't have any clothes. What am I going to wear to school? Like telling my grandmother that, like, Grandma, I have no clothes. What am I? Oh, I'll find you something. What are you going to find me? I'm anorexic. I'm skinny. I'm thin. You can't even put on my uncle and aunt's clothes because I'm too skinny. I am anorexic. I am the oldest of my siblings, so I don't have nothing to hand me down. They don't have anything, period, either. But I know, like it was literally horrible at one year. I remember clearly. And like I said, I had awesome friends that I had came across. And so my best friend had to help me. She actually used to be like, okay, I'm going to give you this and I'm going to give you that. And we would take her sister shit. And she would take her sister stuff anyway. But you're giving your friend your sister stuff because I had nothing. So with that being said, she gave me stuff to wear. Then I came across another friend who was also like that, really friendly with her stuff. And her mom was like that to me. So it really helped me. And everybody would be like, oh, you look so nice. You look so cute with their clothes on, with their stuff on. So hearing that, oh my God, because it doesn't matter how you look in your face, your hair is not done, and your clothes is raggedy, you are raggedy. It doesn't matter. So now you get around your friends and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do something with my hair. Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do that. And they put on decent clothes on you. And people say you look nice. The whole appearance thing changes. People who don't know you are like, I'm like, I'm attracting boys and everything. I'm like, people like, oh, you look nice. They don't know me. I'm walking in areas and we going outside and they're giving compliments and this is not my stuff. But they're giving me compliments in it. So now again, this is my 13 to like 16 years. 13 to 16 years old, I'm having these issues now. And during the process of that, income does come into my grandma's house that she starts to share with me, that now I do get hearing aid stuff or whatever. But basically from 13 years old, I had, like I said, it was a time between 13 and 14 where I remember I had actually no clothes to wear to school. So, with that being said, like I said, getting stuff from them and getting the compliments that I actually look nice from people who don't have a clue who I am, don't know that I am a damn, like, poor child, poor, and have no idea. And they're like, oh, okay, hi, you look so cute. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, that's crazy. So, again, all of this is playing in my mind. All of this is playing in my mind. So now, when I get older and I do have my daughter, I need her to always receive those compliments in my mind. I need to make sure she's always feeling that way because I know how it made me feel. And then when I get to that point where I can't buy me and her, so it's either me or her, and I don't feel right doing it for me, so I'm doing it for her. And I'm buying her everything. Again, now she's getting all the compliments. My daughter, oh my goodness, she stays fly, she stays so nice, she's so pretty, she this, that, and the third. And that satisfies me. It satisfies me to hear those compliments because Viagra, what they say, like, you live in vicariously through whatever that word is, right? You live in vicariously, you living through your kid. And basically, my moments, my horrific moments that I had growing up at those ages, because I didn't have like horrific moments prior to my mom. And I was like, my mom did that, like they started using the drugs. I was about 9, 10 years old. Prior to that, I didn't have like horrific moments in school. I was just a regular kid in school with everybody else. Nobody really picked and chose and did anything. I went to school just like everybody else with the regular stuff. I wasn't getting picked on or talked about or anything like that prior to that situation. Moving to with my grandparents and then like having to go through the struggles and my mom actually putting a processed curl in my hair that took my hair all the way out and I'm looking like a little boy because now I got a little afro because the curl process wasn't well maintained. She didn't keep up with it because she didn't have no money to keep up with it. So the hair just completely fell out. My aunt cut it all the way down and now I'm looking like a boy with nothing. So that was also like really traumatizing to me as well. So just being those years growing up, going through the struggles and stuff that I went through, I kind of made sure my oldest daughter didn't have that issue. And I kind of overdid it. Overdid it, where she had too much stuff. She had things she didn't need. And it was like, it didn't make sense. It was, I couldn't even afford it, but I made sure she had it. And like I said, even if I had to go into debt to do it, it made me feel good. Listening to people compliment her or compliment her through me, saying, "Oh, your daughter always says this," and or even just telling her, made me feel good about it. And it made me never want to not stop. It made me want to do it even more, which was crazy, but that's just what happened. So I'm believing that was the beginning of my addiction. Plus, because it was so traumatizing to me, that the drugs and everything that was going on, I probably would never be a drug addict because I had so much taken away from me with that. So the drug thing probably would have never been a problem with me anyway. So my addiction came other places and other ways, which at one point in time I smoked cigarettes, stressing and stuff like that, and then I ended up quitting that. And so I guess I just probably went more full throttle with the shopping. But again, it wasn't just for me. It wasn't me shopping for me. So I don't want people to get it confused about, oh, I'm not an addict because I don't shop for myself. I'm not an addict because I don't shop. No. You find happiness in shopping for whatever it is. It's not about you or exactly what it is, clothes, or it's about you find the happiness in shopping. You find that you found that you done fed your dopamine. Like, that's crazy, off of purchasing something.